y'all. Welcome back. Welcome me back. It's been so long. If you're new here, my name is Lamaria Amina. If you're not new here, you probably don't even remember me because your girl been on a hiatus. You don't know why I'm doing that. It's because I always say I'm coming back and then your girl always be disappearing. It don't make no sense. The last couple years have been rough and I really had to settle and find my footing before I could really present myself the way I wanted to. But your girl is feeling a lot better. I'm feeling in a great mood today, so figured, what time better than now to film this video. I've been deeply into booktube, so we're gonna start there. I have a few book videos on my channel. I'll link them up here, and it's Black History Month, so let's start there. I feel like it's a sign. I have a few physical copies that we'll talk about, and then I have a couple that I don't own, but I love them anyway, and we'll talk about those as well. So I'll try to make this video sweet and short. Yeah, I'll just give you some recs and let me know if you've read any, let me know the recommendations you guys have, and yeah, I'm excited for this video. So the first one is a thriller. It's by Alyssa Cole and it's called When No One Is Watching. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you too much about this book, but I do recommend it. I think I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. I'll leave my Goodreads below if you're interested. But this book is about a girl named Sydney Green, and she was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. And basically, her neighborhood is changing. The neighbors that she's grown up with her whole life are all of a sudden moving to the suburbs, but they're not saying goodbye. They're just vanishing, basically, in thin air. So Sydney goes on this deep dive to uncover what is happening to her neighborhood. Why are all these condos popping up overnight? Why are her neighbors leaving without saying goodbye? What is going on in Brooklyn? This thriller is about gentrification. It's about how mega corporations take advantage of people who don't have the knowledge of the real estate industry, and just what happens when gentrification runs the local people out. It's an amazing book. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. My jaw was on the floor often. The twists and turns that this book takes you through was really, really powerful, and just having it be a thriller, so you have that eerie, on edge feeling while realizing like, wow, this is happening in every neighborhood across the United States and maybe even the world. So it was just a really powerful book. It was a really relatable book. I lived in Denver for the last 10 years and watching restaurants shut down that I loved going to, and they just were gone because somebody bought them out, or they couldn't afford the never-ending rising of the rent, whatever it was. So I really, really enjoyed this book. I really recommend it. This is my first Alyssa Cole book that I've read. I know she has a couple other ones, so I will be checking those out soon. But definitely a top book I would think about reading this month and beyond. Our next book is Leaving Atlanta. I'm going to leave it right here. I actually just moved to Atlanta, guys. So I have been deep into learning about the history of the South, learning about the land that I personally am living on now. Leaving Atlanta is by Tayari Jones. And this was my first Tayari Jones book and will not be my last. I pray I'm saying her name right. I actually didn't look up how to pronounce her name, but I think it's Tayari Jones. And you guys, it was so good. I did not realize the history. So I've been really into historical fiction. That is like my new favorite genre, which has been really interesting to realize that lately. But I read this, I finished it a couple days ago and it's still fresh on my mind. It is so, so good. Basically, in 1979 to 1981, there was like 30 plus children who were going missing in Atlanta from ages like 5, maybe 4 to like late teens. And the city of Atlanta and certain neighborhoods and just the overall city was incredibly on edge. These children's whole childhood changed because they weren't allowed outside. They weren't allowed to walk home anymore. Everyone was terrified that their child was going to be kidnapped. Basically, it was a serial killer who was just taking Black children, targeting mostly Black boys. And there was different theories as to why they were taking Black boys, because they didn't want them to grow up to be men, so there was less men. There was just all these different theories as to why this was happening. This is a true story. It's based on a true story. So Tayari Jones actually grew up at this time in Atlanta, and yeah, shared her own personal experience of what it was like. This book follows three different families. So there's a part one, a part two, and a part three, and it follows three different families. And it's just so tragic. It is such a tragic story. I had no idea that this was a history in Atlanta. I think they ended up finding 10 or 20 of the bodies, but I think they found 10 bodies, and the other 20 were not found. There's a docuseries that I'm gonna watch. I think it's on Hulu. I watched one on YouTube a few days ago. But actually, as soon as I finished this book, I immediately looked up more information, and you can actually see the files on the government website. It's called @Kid Murder Cases, and you guys, just seeing the actual like FBI files with the handwritten notes of where these kids were found. And I live near a river. There was kids found in the river that I live near. Like, it was just really, it was a hard read, but what I appreciate about this book is that Tayari made it so digestible where you really felt like you were with the characters, and while it was such a tragic read, it was also enjoyable. I wasn't sobbing or like unable to continue reading. I finished this book in 2 days, and like I said, it was really digestible, but it was hard to face that truth that this is like really happened in this country. So to our people. So Black history, not an amazing part of it, but it's definitely it's happened, and I really want to know what has happened on the land that I'm living. So I'm really thankful that I read this book. Tiari's words are so powerful. The way she writes, I'm in love. I will definitely be reading more of her books, and I highly recommend if you haven't read her before. All right, y'all. The next book I highly recommend. I actually finished this the top of the month. I think I finished it on the 1st of February, and it was such a great book to start Black History Month with. It's called Harlem Rhapsody by, what's her name? Victoria Christopher Murray. Or Murray. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, but this book is so good. Basically, it is about Miss Jessie Fauset, who was like the originator, the cultivator, the epicenter, the midwife of the Harlem Renaissance. She got a position as a literary editor at the Crisis, the magazine owned by W.E.B. Du Bois, and they also had a love affair. So that was in this married man had a love affair with Miss Jessie Fauset. So that was a big part of the book. So it was like this romance, but this book was so incredible. I felt like it was the floodgates. It opened the floodgates for me of the Harlem Renaissance and put me on to so many writers, so much work that I now need to read. I know you guys have probably heard this one before, but I gave this a 5 stars. It was incredible. I had such a great time reading it. I felt like I was truly in New York. I felt like I was in Harlem during the Harlem Renaissance. It was so inspiring as a writer myself, as an artist myself. I was thoroughly inspired by this book. I love the humanity of it, how you're reading these two people, it's all through Miss Jessie's point of view, Miss Fawcett's point of view. And you're like rooting for her because she's the first woman to go to Cornell. Is she the first woman to go to Cornell? Something about Cornell University. I need to remember what that was about. Sorry, I don't remember that right now. But she was the first woman of so many things. The first Black literary editor. She worked for this huge magazine in the Black community. And she also was kind of the villain in her family because she didn't marry, but she was having this affair with this married man, who was like such a well-known married man. So it was just a really great book. Just hearing about Langston Hughes and all these different people who had come up during this time, I just found so interesting. And yeah, like I said, I feel like this book is a floodgate for so many other works that you can learn about. And it's a great way to digest history. It's a historical fiction novel, so a lot of the events that happen in the book really did happen, but also there's like this fictitious or fictional aspect of it that was really cool. So it just made it so interesting. Like, I really love this book. I honestly don't have anything negative to say about it. This was also my first Victoria Christopher Murray book, and I know she wrote The Librarian, so that is on my list to read pretty soon. But yeah, you guys, I highly recommend this one. I feel like you will leave it with so many, you'll just leave it with so much curiosity. Like, all I wanted to do was know, what now? What should I read next? So it was really cool to see these writers that we now know, like Langston Hughes. It was so cool to hear how they were depicted, or how they came up, and how they were, everyone knew that Langston Hughes was going to be this renowned um, writer, poet. And it was cool to see him depicted as this like young 19 kind of insecure boy who grew up to be this amazing writer. So I really, really enjoyed that book, and I highly recommend it. I can't mention Black History Month without mentioning my hero. Truly, she is my hero. I have mentioned this book on my channel before, so I won't go too much in depth. I'll leave the video here if you're interested, but Miss Assata Shakur is, God rest her soul. I feel like when she passed last year, the torch has been passed to us in a new way. And like I said, she's truly one of my heroes. If you don't know about Assata, honestly, I'm just going to take the book. Take it. Because everyone in our society should know who this is, but especially every Black person needs to know about Miss Assata Shakur and what she has done for our people. And truly how much of a threat a woman standing in her true power is. Her whole life, she sacrificed so much for us, and all because she made a stance and declared that we deserve dignity and liberation, and just a true revolutionary in every form of the word. And just the utmost respect for this woman, and I pray that she is resting in peace. But I have read this twice, and I will be reading it again this year. Just someone I feel who just deserves the utmost honor. This book actually sits on my wall every morning when I wake up. She is looking at me, and that just does something to my spirit, knowing that she is watching and she is here. So highly recommend. I won't even give you a synopsis, just read the book if you haven't read it already. And then the last book I have for you guys, another memoir. I love this picture. I love this book. It's an incredible book. I actually listened to this on audio and read along. And Miss Viola Davis changed the industry. She changed so much in Hollywood for Black people, and I never knew her story until a couple years ago. And after I read her story, I already had the utmost respect for her. But after reading her story and hearing all that this woman has survived and endured since she was a baby, it really has reminded me that there is no excuse. If there is a will, there is a way. And if you want something bad enough, you can reach it and you can make it happen. Miss Viola Davis is an incredible woman. Her resilience, her vision for her life, I am also an aspiring actor, and just sometimes I feel like I started too late, but knowing that she didn't get to Hollywood and Broadway till she was in her 40s, and she just had passion and relentless pursuit. So inspired. So I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to read this book to you or read a summary about this book. I'm just going to let you guys dig into it if you haven't already, but highly recommend. Someone who is living, who is constantly breaking glass ceilings, who is constantly reaching behind and pulling people up with her. She's an incredible woman in our culture, and I am so proud to be a Black woman and to, be able to witness and really just witness her becoming. So those are the books I have for you guys. I hope that this video was good. I know the sun just set, so the lighting might have changed in this video, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I would love to hear any recommendations that you have for Black History Month. My room is full of Black books, okay? Like, that's my bread and butter. But I'm always open for more suggestions. I hope you guys have a great Black History Month. It's 100 years of Black history celebrated and acknowledged. And just remember, y'all, Black history is history. Black history is history, period. It's world history. It's our history. It's history of this country. And it deserves to be celebrated. It deserves to be told in its entirety. The world will not be what it is without us, okay? That's all I got to say. So I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching and sticking by as I've, just went through my mini phases. But I, love and appreciate you guys so much. Peace.